So today we are continuing on with our series of His Time Has Come. And last week it says we started His Time Has Come. We're reached to this point of the Gospel of John that He's been building us to for a long time. In fact, the entire Gospel He's been building up to these last few chapters. And we saw last week in John 18, and it continues in 19, and into next week into John 20 at the resurrection, and that this is the literary climax of the gospel. John has been building up to this, he's been foreshadowing it in a lot of different ways, as we've seen, as we've studied through the Gospel of John, chapter by chapter. And now we are here, His time has come. And today, as I said last week, we looked at His arrest and the first part of His trial. And now today, in chapter 19, the rest, the second half of His trial with Pilate, and then He is released and is crucified in chapter 19. So if you have your Bible with you, I'd encourage you to open it with me to John chapter 19. And if you don't have your own Bible with you, there are Bibles available for you in the seat pockets in front of you. And as we continue in that, though, and one of the other things we see continue today that we saw last week is how much of the gospel, of previous chapters and lessons and things that Jesus said and things that John told us about are fulfilled or come out or referenced in these last few chapters of now that His time is indeed here. And as we see that again, last week we saw that, we will see that again this week as we see, again, all these foreshadows and teachings that have been setting us up for this moment now are lived out, and we see come out in the text this morning. So even though we're studying John 19 today, we're actually going to start in John 10. And just to kind of look at, again, this foreshadowing that Jesus gives of the events in chapter 19. And then it is in John chapter 10, verses 17 through 18. Okay, where it says, "The Father loves me because I sacrificed my life, so I may take it back again. No one can take my life from me. I sacrifice it voluntarily, for I have the authority to lay it down when I want to, and also to take it up again. For this is what my Father has commanded." Again, these are the words of Jesus, okay, as He is describing again, the job that God the Father has given Him to accomplish here on earth. And again, this is all the way back in chapter 10, right, as Jesus foreshadows again the fact that He will lay down His life. Right, and that is the number one purpose for Him coming to earth. Now, we also see that, though, is again that Jesus says, I have the authority. Right? I lay down my life. And we saw last week just how Jesus was in complete control of the situation of His arrest, as well as we went through the trial with the Jewish leaders and then on to Pilate. And we will see that once again today to remind us as we continue on the story that Jesus is the one that's in control. He is the one that's in control of the situation. He knows why He was sent to earth. And He's been, again, He Himself, not just John in the Gospel, but Jesus Himself has been building up to this time, this moment, this job that He now has to do and that He will accomplish in chapter 19. And so we're going to just continue on in the story here as we see Jesus and His interaction with Pilate. And so we will pick up in John 19, verses 1 through 3. And here where it says this. John 19, starting in verse 1. "Then Pilate had Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip. The soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on His head, and they put a purple robe on Him. 'Hail, King of the Jews,' they mocked, as they slapped Him across the face." Again, we see the slap across the face, which again is an accusation of blasphemy. And we also see, again, that they dress Him up in this crown of thorns and dress Him up like this king that He is claimed to be. But this first phrase is where it says that Pilate had Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip. Now, there are several things that are going on here that, again, the original audience of John would have known. They were cultural references, things that they just say, that they knew what they meant. Now, today, in our culture, we can just read right over them and not really grasp the weight of what it's describing. Okay, now being flogged is one of those things, again, that everybody in that culture knew what that was and what the purpose of it was and how brutal it was. For us, again, we can just kind of read the sentence and just kind of keep moving on and just be like, oh, that must have been bad. Right? It seems like it's bad. We said, and it was bad. Okay, flogging was done for a specific purpose by the Romans. Okay, and in fact, it was designed as a form of torture, and it was very torturous. But it was also, the purpose of it was to get people to talk. So if somebody was not giving all the information that they, just like today, right, it's like being interrogated by police and they keep asking you questions and trying to get you to confess what you really know. And in those times, the Romans, like I said, had come up with lots of great ways to get people to talk. And flogging was the best. It was, if you got flogged, was where, again, there was some information they wanted to know. And they were going to get it out of you. And again, it was done publicly, it was done in a humiliation way, and they had lots of different tools that they would use to get you to talk. And so, again, to be flogged meant you would have your hands bound to a post or something in a very public square, and then you were literally beaten with stuff until you gave them the information they wanted. Now, depending on the severity of the information or what charges were against you, or whatever, they would use different tools in order to get this information out of you. Now, they said some would just use whips or canes or sticks or just different things to kind of beat on you, hit your back with as you're being humiliated in the public square until you would come up again with the information they want to know. Now, notice John points out the exact tool that they used on Jesus. He says that they used a lead-tipped whip. Now, within Roman culture and archaeological evidence, again, the technical name for this whip is the Roman flagrum. And now, this whip is kind of more commonly known as the cat of nine tails. Because it was, again, the one that was used on Jesus was a whip that had 9 different kind of braids or strips coming out of the handle. Okay, here's a picture of a historically accurate flagrants. And you can see that there is, again, some that have 3 straps, 6, 9, or even 12. That's what's pictured here. And again, this was the kind of epitome of torturous weapon that was used in flogging. So again, for the most important information to get this out of you, this is what will be used on you. Now, this whip was designed to not just to hurt you, but it's literally designed to cut strips out of your flesh. It was now, as it is, you see again, this being hit with a leather whip is painful enough. I mean, that is a very painful situation, even with one. But they said, well, you know what, this is the highest form of torture that we can get to get the most important information out. So they figured that, hey, let's put lead tips on the end of these straps. So then, obviously, like I said, we know with more weight it creates more inertia and more power of the swing. But again, getting hit with metal hurts even worse than leather. But then again, it was, they get the power of that right into that. But then again, it's designed to literally cut your flesh, and so. Not just in the lead tips, but in the lead tips, they would bury pieces of bone or glass or metal, nails, anything designed to literally cut your flesh when it hits you. And so with the hit of, I think it was one of these, which is the one with 9 strips in it, it would literally take 9 gashes out of your flesh with every hit. Now, flogging was not designed to be lethal. It was not a death sentence. Again, it was designed to just get you to talk, to give the information that they wanted. Now, but at the same time, just knowing that if you were flogged, especially with the flagrum, is that it usually did result in death because just from blood loss and infection. But it was not designed to kill you. It was not supposed to be a lethal punishment. Again, when you believe that that the human body would only endure 40 lashes of the flagrum before it would literally kill you at the post. Again, Scripture doesn't tell us how many times they hit Jesus, but we do know that Jesus didn't change his story. Okay, we do know that Jesus had declared the truth already, and that this was an attempt by Pilate. It was a test to find out what the truth was. And the flogging Jesus, as Pilate sends him off to be flogged, flogging Jesus was a test by Pilate to answer what is true. Because if you remember from last week, the last statement that Pilate makes to Jesus before he parades him back in front of the religious leaders was, what is true? And again, Jesus claimed very openly to him, he says, hey, and to the Jewish leaders, as he reiterated to Pilate, I am the truth. I told the truth. I've been openly teaching to everybody. I've not done anything in secret. Hey, you know what the truth is. But again, Pilate asked him that question, what is true? And then when he tried to get rid of it, they asked for Barabbas instead. So the Pilate said, fine, I'll continue down this path of what I normally do to people to find out the truth. And so he sent Jesus to. And then we see that not only did they flog him, but they also put on a crown of thorns and a purple robe and mocking him. It was all about humiliation to break Jesus, to get him to admit that his claims were not true. But Jesus didn't break. He endured the suffering. He endured the torture because he had already given the whole truth. Everything that he claimed to be was true. And he was fulfilling his own words that we saw in John 10. I have come to lay down my life. And that is exactly what Jesus is doing. Because, again, it doesn't tell us how much they beat him, but we do know that it was severe. We do because he didn't break. He didn't change his story. He did not change his truth. Because once again, Pilate was looking for a reason. He's like, man, I can't get out of this. Well, if he changed his story, then I can just crucify him and everything's fine. Right? But Jesus didn't change his story. And then we continue on here in verse 4. Here it says, when Pilate went outside again, he said to people, I'm going to bring them out to you now, but understand clearly that I find him not guilty. Then Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, and Pilate said, look, here's the man. And when they saw him, the leading priests and the temple guard began shouting, crucify him, crucify him. Take him yourselves and crucify him, Pilate said. I find him not guilty. The Jewish leaders replied, by our law he ought to die because he called himself the Son of God. When Pilate heard this, he was more frightened than ever. He took Jesus back into the headquarters again and asked him, where are you from? But Jesus gave no answer. Why don't you talk to me? Pilate demanded. Don't you realize that I have the power to release you or crucify you? And then Jesus said, you would have no power over me at all unless it were given to you from above. So the one who handed me over to you has the greater sin. Then Pilate tried to release him, but the Jewish leaders shouted, if you release this man, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who declares himself a king is a rebel against Caesar. And when they said this, Pilate brought Jesus out to them again. And then Pilate sat down in the judgment seat on a platform that is called the stone pavement, in Hebrew, Golgotha. It was now about noon on the day of preparation for Passover, and Pilate said to the people, look, here is your king. Away with him, they yelled. Away with him, crucify him. What? Crucify your king? Pilate asked. We have no king but Caesar, the leading priest shouted back. And then Pilate turned Jesus over to them to be crucified. So as we see this, again, this conclusion of this trial in front of Pilate, we see, and very clearly Pilate says, Pilate knew the truth. He declared more than once in this passage, Jesus is not guilty. Okay, he knew and tried every way that he knew possible to not crucify Jesus. Especially when he fully realizes what Jesus' claim really was. Again, we see in verses 7 and 8 when Pilate realizes the weight of what he's faced with. Okay, he's interrogated Jesus, he's flogged him, he's done everything under his power to get this guy to admit that he's committed some crime. And remember, Pilate is not a a Jew. He's not been in the synagogue. He does not, he knows about Jesus, but he does not fully understand the teachings. Until we see in verses 7 and 8, when they throw out the real accusation of Jesus, that he claims to be the Son of God. And this is the point in the movie when you hear the dun, 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 right? Because all of a sudden Pilate knew he was in a hard situation, but now he knows the weight of what Jesus is facing. Right? And you see all the more, once he hears this, he's scrambling. He's tried to release him several times. As God's I want nothing to do with this. Right? This man is not guilty. Everything that you say he does is not guilty. And then he finds out what the true claims were. So Pilate, literally, I would say, is scared at this point of wanting anything to do with Jesus. And he brings him back in and says, and he questions him again. And notice he's asking a lot more humble type questions to Jesus now than he was in their first interaction. Why does he start asking him, where are you from? What are these claims? Are you serious? Right? But notice Jesus' reaction to him in verse 11, where he says, you have no power over me at all, unless it were given to you from above. So the one who handed me over to you has the greater sin. Once again, Jesus is reiterating the same claims he's told Pilate the entire time. Okay, I am the truth. And my power, again, where are you from? Yes, I am from God. Right? And the power that you have over me is there because I am giving it to you. Okay, not because of your authority or not because of your human position. But again, Jesus is 100% in control of this situation. And notice that Jesus gives Pilate the green light to give in. Because Jesus also knows the job he's been sent to do. He gives him the green light. But also notice what Jesus doesn't say to Pilate. He doesn't say that Pilate is innocent. He doesn't say that Pilate is not a sinner. Right? But he does say, those who gave me are the greater sin. So we see Jesus even in this moment. Okay, as Jesus is sitting in the middle of this trial, towards the end of this trial, that Jesus continues to live out the gospel of grace before the cross. Even to Pilate. He's showing grace to Pilate in this, right? He's giving him the green light. He says, hey, it's okay, go ahead and crucify me. Because those who are handing me over are committing a bigger sin. Again, he does not want to come out of the hook. Right? Pilate is a sinner. But he's also showing him grace. Because I want to remind us of Jesus' teaching in John 16. Again, his words coming fulfilled completely in this statement in John 16, 9 and 10, where Jesus taught the world's sin is that it refuses to believe in me. Righteousness is available because I go to the Father and you will see me no more. Right? Who's guilty of the greater sin? These religious leaders that handed him over. What is their sin? That they refuse to believe in Jesus. Right. Now notice, this is not a sin that Pilate is committing, is it? He believes Jesus. Right. He believes he is who he says he is. Even when he realizes the truth of his real claim that he is the Son of God. Right? That Jesus is showing grace even before the cross. Even Pilate. Now, many scholars believe that as we look at John's account of this trial, again, that Jesus was 100% in control, and that really who was really on trial here was the Jewish leaders and Pilate, not Jesus. Because Jesus was 100% in control of the situation. Right? And Jesus gives Pilate, again, the green light to have him crucified. Because he says, again, as he taught earlier in the gospel, that if he is crucified, then righteousness will be available. Right? That he will be the way. The greater sin of refusing to believe in Jesus something that Pilate is not guilty of. He believes that Jesus is telling the truth. So much because Jesus even passed his flogging test. And then we see verse 16 then becomes the transition between his trial and the last hours of his life, as he is then given over to be crucified. So then again, we start this next section of John 19, right, where the trial is over, Jesus' fate has been decided, and he is given over then to be crucified. And continuing on the story in verses 16 through 18, then we see that Pilate turned Jesus over to them to be crucified, so they took Jesus away. And carrying the cross by himself, he went to the place called the place of the skull, in Hebrew Golgotha, and there they nailed him to the cross. 2 others were crucified with him, one on either side, with Jesus between them. Now, as we see this description, that now Jesus is sent out to be crucified. Again, there's some cultural references here that we can read right over. But to realize, again, Jesus was not crucified by himself, right? There were 2 other thieves there. And because death on a cross was a very normal thing in their culture, this was not something that was set out just for Jesus. Death on a cross, in fact, was Roman capital punishment. If somebody, depending on their crime, when they were found guilty and if they were sentenced to death, they would be crucified. Now again, the Romans were really good at figuring out ways to torture people. They were really good at just ruling very sternly and violently. And the Romans, again, had come up with this idea of crucifixion as a way to sentence somebody to death, to actually kill them. However, again, their capital punishment was not humane like we have today, right? And humane means quick. Crucifixion was not quick. In fact, it was designed to take a long time to kill you. The purpose of crucifixion was to torture you and humiliate you all the way to the end of your earthly life. And similar to flogging, that is a major form of torture, but the difference between flogging and crucifixion was designed to kill you. Right? Where flogging is not. Again, this was capital punishment in the same way we think of capital punishment today. Right? In our culture, it is lethal injection or an electric chair. In their culture, it was a cross. And something that they would view very differently. Today, we view it because of Jesus. We view it as a symbol of victory. We see it as a symbol of joy. We put it on our jewelry, and we put it all over the place because we see it as symbol, and rightfully so. But in their culture, the cross was anything but joyful. The cross was anything but victorious. In fact, it signified defeat, judgment, torture. And they were killed on a cross, again, in the ways that would most humiliate you. They would make you carry your cross, as it said, as they parade you in front of all these people, and they would end up in this public place, and they would nail you on this cross, and then the best form of humiliation is to do all of this naked, and then to put you up here and let everybody see you, and mock you, and spit at you, and yell at you, and all these things while you hung on this cross. Again, it was designed to be torturous, and it was designed to be slow. Which is why they would nail you on this cross, and they would put you up there, and as they would, stretch out your arms, and then they would nail you onto this cross. And again, traditionally, we view that they nail you in the palms, and that's not very historically accurate, because the tendons and bones in your hands are not very strong. Again, this was designed to keep you up there for hours and days. And so they would actually nail them through the arm, the wrist, in between these 2 bones. So that the strength of all this wrist and all of this bones and tendons in your wrist would hold up the weight of your body. And then they would take your feet and they would put them one on top of each other and nailed this large nail through both feet and into the cross so that you could push up with your feet as you hung there. Because as the weaker you became, the longer you hung there, then you would sink further and further down as the weight of your body was resting on your wrist, and to where it would literally close up your lungs. To the point where you would have to push up on your feet in order to get a breath. So then we see that continuing the story of Jesus hanging on the cross between these thieves. He's being sentenced to death for a crime that Pilate very openly said he did not commit. And then we see in verse 33 and 19, it says that then they came to Jesus and they saw he was already dead, so they didn't break his legs. Again, a cultural reference that we do not fully understand. Because eventually they would get bored of torturing these people. And when you were crucified on a cross, suffocation was the actual cause of death. And so, once the humiliation was done, or they had enough fun mocking them, or they just had something better to do, they would come around and break their legs so they could no longer push up on their feet, so that they would then finally suffocate and die. But notice it said, though, that Jesus was already dead. They didn't have to break his legs. They didn't have to speed up the process. Because remember, Jesus was 100% control of the situation. Jesus was on this cross to fulfill the job that the Father had given him to do. Once they find out that he was already dead, we see it in 34 to 37. He says that one of the soldiers, however, pierced his side with a spear, and immediately blood and water flowed out. And this report is from an eyewitness giving an accurate account, and he speaks the truth so that you also may continue to believe. These things happen in fulfillment of the scriptures that say, not one of his bones will be broken, and they will look on the one that they pierce. Because as the earthly life leaves your body starts to break down right away. And as you know, our bodies are made of mostly water, and so your blood starts to separate from water and blood, and so that's how they could tell that he was in fact dead, was when they pierced his side and blood and water flowed out. And to say that the deterioration process of his body had already begun. And we see here how, again, all the fulfillment of the scriptures. We see that Jesus came to accomplish a job, to die in our place for our sins, and that's exactly what he did. Because Jesus did not die of natural causes on that cross. Jesus died of a broken heart. Jesus did not die of natural causes, he died of a broken heart. He died of the weight of the sin of all humanity on his soul. Remember, just exactly as Pilate said, he is not guilty. But he took my sin, and he took your sin, and all the sin of everybody before the cross, all the sin of everybody after the cross, and the weight and the shame and the destruction of all of that sin was on the shoulders of Jesus. And it broke him. And he didn't die of suffocation that day. He died of the weight of my sin and of yours. He had been setting us up in these last several verses of showing us the heart of God, teaching us about the heart of God. And in this, right here in chapter 19, he showed us the heart of God by dying on the cross. And not dying of natural causes, but of a broken heart. Jesus, once again, lives out his teachings by his actions. The sin of me and of you, the guilt and shame that comes with it, is what kills Jesus. And then the story continues on in 19 with verse 38. Where it says, afterwards, Joseph of Arimathea, who had been a secret disciple of Jesus because he feared the Jewish leaders, asked Pilate for permission to take down Jesus' body. When Pilate gave permission, Joseph came and took the body away. With him came Nicodemus, the man who would come to Jesus at night. Remember, that was John chapter 3. He brought about 75 pounds of perfumed ointment made from myrrh and aloes. Following Jesus' burial custom, they wrapped Jesus' body with spices and long sheets of linen cloth. The place of crucifixion was near a garden, where there was a new tomb never used before. And so because it was their preparation for the Jewish Passover, and since the tomb was close at hand, they laid Jesus there. Now, several times, and once again in this passage, in this chapter, John references the Passover and the preparation of the Passover. Now, the Jewish Passover, once again, is something that really means nothing to us in our culture. But to them, the Jewish Passover was an annual celebration in Jewish culture that was celebrating the God saving them in Egypt in the final plague of death that was given in Egypt before they were released with Moses. And they were instructed at that time to sacrifice a lamb, and they were given specific instructions on how to do so. And in the process of that, and of celebrating this, they were supposed to eat the lamb and do all these other things. But in the process of that, they were to take the blood of the lamb and spread it over the doorposts of their homes, so that the spirit of death would then pass them over, and either were following Yahweh and not kill them, but only kill the Egyptians who did not know Yahweh. Again, the symbolism of this is heavy, and John is laying it over and over throughout this text. They would sacrifice a lamb every year in remembrance of how God saved them. And they would sacrifice this lamb, and how the blood of that lamb saved them from death. And now we see Jesus in no accident being killed on a cross at exactly the time they're supposed to be slaughtering a lamb to remember Passover. Again, the symbolism is deep, it is rich, and it is not done on accident. I'm going to remind you of the passage we started with today in John 10, when it says, "The Father loves me because I sacrificed my life, so I may take it back again. No one can take my life from me. I sacrifice it voluntarily, for I have the authority to lay it down when I want to and to take it up again, for this is what my Father has commanded." And again, that real commandment was Jesus was supposed to become our sacrificial lamb. Because by the blood of the lamb is how they were saved, and it's by the blood of Jesus that we are all saved. Amen. And again, this original covenant that was set up with Moses, that was brought in with the Passover, was now fulfilled in Jesus, who ushers in the new covenant of grace. By the blood of the lamb we are saved. And Jesus then becomes the sacrificial lamb for the world. Again, the timing of this was no accident. In fact, the timing was exactly as God had ordained it, to fulfill the first covenant and usher in the new covenant of grace, a covenant that Jesus was already living out before he ever went to the cross. And Jesus then fulfills it as he becomes our sacrificial lamb to be saved through his blood. And again, Pilate establishes very quickly that he was innocent, and that was one of the things the lamb had to be, was innocent. Right? And Jesus was innocent. It is his blood that then takes our place. Because the wages of sin is death. And the blood of the lamb covers our sin. And as we think about again, the weight of this, I want to show you this famous picture. Okay, it is titled Advent's Day, or God with Us. And when we look at this picture and realize again that the heavy symbolism that John is layering over and over through this text, and we see again the Lamb that was slain for us. You can think, why is this picture titled God with us? Because this is a picture of Christ. It is a lamb that is bound for slaughter. But you can also see the love inside. Jesus lays down his life as a sacrifice for us. Jesus is still in 100% control, and he came to fulfill the command the Father had given him, and that is to lay down his life as a sacrificial lamb for the world. And that's exactly what he does. So I think as we, again, ponder and we can look at this picture of Christ, I think that we are still faced with a choice. Are we going to accept that gift? Are we going to honor the sacrifice that was done for us on that cross? The suffering and the pain that Jesus took? Will we accept him as our Savior? Because remember, the biggest sin is not believing in Jesus and not accepting what he brings. So what, have you accepted Jesus? Have you received, again, honored the sacrifice that he made? And if you have, then are we living out every day in our journey as we represent his love? The heart of God is captured in this picture. And it should also be captured in our daily lives as Jesus followers. And as we think about this, I want to go back to Jesus' final words on the cross that John records in 1930. And that is our final thought today, and I want to end with in John 19:30. When Jesus had tasted it, he said, "It is finished." And then he bowed his head and he released his spirit. When you think about, again, the culmination of all of John's gospel, if your life has been stolen, killed, and destroyed, it is finished. You've been doing life on your own and seem to find a dead-end road. It's finished. You have a struggle in your life and you're not sure what the next step is and trying to do things on your own instead of God's power. It's finished. The question today is, what are we doing with this sacrifice? Are we journeying in our faith? Are we representing His love, the heart of God? So as we conclude